Mandalorian, is it good? I've watched it.
Have you not seen this?
No, I've seen all of it. I just need to know from Cliff and Kyle.
Well, here's what ended up happening is we ended up watching the first episode. We really enjoyed the first season. We ended up watching the first episode. Was not necessarily the biggest fan of the first episode. I think it was more like they wanted to see if they could pull off something special effects wise with that big dragon, that sandworm. It just felt like very thin. It was just like where the whole thing had been, a Western mixed with so many other interesting genre ideas. It just sort of felt too on the nose, as like clearly I don't know. It was just a Western versus Tremors, and I just wasn't on board. It just felt very slow to me. So eventually, my parents have watched the whole thing. We were back visiting them for Christmas, so we ended up watching the rest of it. And actually, the season gets quite good. I enjoyed a lot of it. I don't remember much of it, but
we have the fun samurai episode.
Yeah, the Japanese episode with Ahsoka.
That was fantastic. Awesome. Fighting with the giant staff there and all.
Were you guys aware of Ahsoka before this?
I'd seen clips of cartoons before, and I'm certainly not aware of. I assume Ahsoka is the orange-haired lady.
Correct. Cool. The orange-skinned lady.
Rosario Dawson.
The Jedi.
Rosario Dawson. Right.
Played by Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, I liked that episode just fine. I was a little underwhelmed by all the action in that episode. I thought it was just like it felt like a kind. I don't know.
And Michael Biehn, by the way, was loaded for every single shot.
Oh yeah, he was definitely drunk the whole time.
Yeah.
Damn.
Who is Michael Biehn?
From Aliens and the Terminator. He was in that episode.
He was the
guns and.
Was he really drunk the entire time?
No, we were just saying he looked very bloated because he's old.
Yes. He came across as pretty drunk the whole time. I'm still counting on. I'll put my money on that.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
I was going to say, as a fan of the Clone Wars and knowing who Ahsoka was, that was the best episode of the season.
Oh, nice.
And that I felt like it hit like a high note with the action at the beginning, and like you just couldn't like hit that again.
Yeah. I think the Bill Burr episode was definitely my favorite in terms of because the whole thing. It's got Bill Burr in it, but they go through the whole arc of getting like on board with the Empire, and then when the TIE fighter comes down and stops the peasants who are trying to stop them, where there's triumphant hero music, and you get on board with the hero music, and they're cheering you on. It's like, okay, yeah. It's like we're getting on board with the whole Empire thing for a second, which goes along with the whole, Bill Burr stand-up act thing of doing just a little moral inversion. Just, how about let's toy with this thing, which is naughty, and then we'll bring it back. And the whole episode kind of plays out like a really good Bill Burr stand-up bit.
I gotta say, I think the one with the white spiders and the frog lady with the eggs was
really
fucking good. That was rad.
That was your favorite? That would be your favorite.
You are definitely out of frame.
Yeah,
Dylan, fix that in post, please. Thank you.
Yes, I'm just I'm chilling back here. I don't want people though. I think it was the one with the spiders, the white spiders.
Damn,
that was really good.
I remember we watched that. Katie and I. So Katie doesn't give a shit about Star Wars.
Hell yeah.
And so she kind of like she humored me. I watched the first episode on my own. And then, Chase was like, hey, man, you have to finish watching Mandalorian. And my brother's like, you have to finish watching Mandalorian. I was like, when the fuck am I going to watch it? Like, Katie doesn't want to watch it with me. So I finally found a moment where she was
got all
busy.
this napping to do around my 4-hour work week.
I'm busy. Dylan's working. I'm busy.
That's right.
And so I finally was able to, like, find a moment. I was like, are you cool with me just putting this on? Like, you're not going to be paying attention. I just wanted to watch this. She's like, okay, cool. And I kind of saw her, like, glancing and watching. And so she got engaged into the show about that episode, like around that episode. And I felt like a really big badass because the moment you see little Grogu come out and like grab that little like egg sack looking thing, I was like, oh, these are all going to be little spiders. 100% fucking guaranteed this imagery is fucking spiders. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, just wait and watch. And it was fucking spiders. And I felt so good about myself because it's a dead giveaway that it's going to be fucking spiders.
Absolutely. And the whole episode is about motherhood and all that there.
What are you going to do to protect your young?
Exactly, because we have the good eggs from the good mother that Baby Yoda, I refuse to call him Grogu, that Baby Yoda was just enjoying eating. And then we have the bad mother, the bad eggs, the spider mother trying to attack them there.
And the episode was directed by Peyton Reed, the director of Ant-Man. And so what you have in the beginning is you have a doctor called Dr. Mandible at the beginning of that episode, who is a big ant with the big mandibles and whatnot. And I think the fact that his name was Dr. Mandible made me like that a lot.
Huh.
And a lot of that, of course, makes a lot of even Ant-Man references kind of 50s atomic horror movies like Them and Tarantula and things with big
Earth
bugs.
versus the Spider.
Earth versus the Spider. And what happens in Earth versus the Spider? People venture into a big-ass cave full of spiders.
I was definitely battling water blight Ganon during that episode because I did not pay attention to that episode. I had to rewatch the Tremors one.
Yeah.
But after that, really picked up because that third episode's Ahsoka.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that I think the episodes that appeal to me are often the episodes that have the least amount of talking in them, that are largely visual. And I notice this disconnection sometimes between me and my girlfriend, because she will sometimes like play Among Us on her phone or something like that, and so she'll get kind of tuned out of episodes. And I think that it's that interesting thing we've talked about before, with that difference between movies that are largely visual versus the later episodes, which are a little bit more Netflixy in nature, with a lot more gabby, plot, talky. This is why I'm here.
Podcast with visuals.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the kind of
like
thing where
this one.
Yeah, what's precisely.
So this is scale is needed. It happens once a week, roughly.
Podcasts are where the talking is for.
It's hard to believe, but we actually have a higher budget than Mandalorian did.
Holy
on
shit.
a per episode basis.
Scale 2.0.
Yeah.
How do you think Armin got that deck?
Yeah, all those dollars that we translated into pennies really paid off. You know
I
what
know.
Has anyone done like a
Micro-fluctuations.
Pulp Fiction-esque style of like podcast where they make the make the podcast and then we just edit it all fucking all over the place?
All
So we have
out of
like around the end point starts at the beginning, and then we have the midway point happening at the end.
Well, a lot of people.
We should do that.
It's kind of like when they do that little advance where they cut in like 5 seconds of some funnier later part of a podcast at the beginning, and it's then it's like 20 minutes earlier. But I say we take it even further. We open in the middle of just blood rage, just shouting at each other, and one of us walking off, and then we're like 20 minutes earlier, and then we just start the episode. Now, do we ever get there? I don't know, but it'll be fun.
I want to see us have an entire...
The look. That's what tripped me out.
I want to see us have an entire episode that's like Memento, where there's scenes from the end in black and white that are played in reverse.
Yeah.
Scenes from the beginning in color and they meet in the middle at the beginning of a joke.
Yes.
To which the ending is the punchline.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
I live my life like Memento. I have all types of screenshots about stuff I'm supposed to remember, and then I like look at them like,
don't trust this man. What the fuck? Who is this guy? I've never even seen this guy before.
I think we all live life like Memento now. Every day is the same. We don't remember anything as a result. It's all been compressed out. Like, what did you do over the weekend? I don't know. Pretty much the same thing I did every other weekend for a while.
I hate that question. What did you do this weekend? It's every Monday at work. People ask, "What'd you do this weekend? Anything
you don't
fun?"
fucking care.
Yeah.
It's like you really don't care.
Yeah.
And secondly,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Do you see the switch? I think I tried to solder it to my
The
hand.
person you're talking to had to kill the weekend person just to have this conversation. So he's not here right now, but I bet he had a good time.
Damn, that's metal. Sounds like a line from Ed Norton.
So let us know how that goes. So say that to someone on Monday morning.
Dylan, you'll get rid of that empty spot
Yeah.
there, right? Cool.
Dope. Oh.
Did you guys see Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I did. Saw it in the theater. Got the special only in theaters cup and only in theaters little Wonder Woman.
You know what was
figurine.
great about Wonder Woman?
It ended.
No,
Pedro
the
Pascal.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, Pedro was the best
The
part.
Mandalorian was the
Can
best
you
part.
imagine
The meme.
like he acted his dick off.
He
with
did.
nothing to
I
work
know.
with.
Yes.
And it's like it was this crazy thing where
Life is good.
it's this crazy thing where you're watching the movie and again I saw it in theaters just to show support for seeing movies in theaters. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it despite its problems. Yada 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 yada. But yeah, it's just fun to see that it becomes a movie when he walks on screen. Like if you haven't watched it or you're gonna see it, it feels like a CW show that can't quite get off the ground for about the first 20 minutes, and all of a sudden Pedro Pascal walks on, and he feels like the first actor to show up in the movie, because you got Gal Gadot in her weird accent, you got Kristen Wiig, who is a really funny lady but has trouble navigating non-sketch waters on screen, and so you don't really have anyone who's like validating or selling the story world. You kind of are half believing everybody the whole time, which, you know, it's just because the dialogue's a little hammy and campy, which could be good, and you see how good it could be when the Mandalorian shows up, because
life could be better.
He's playing as big of a comic book character as is needed to justify this ham-handed Max Power oil guy, whatever. And he's like, "Hey, you're the oil guy from TV." He's like, "Ha ha, the oil guy from TV. I'll take that." And he goes, and it's a movie all of a sudden, and he's crying, and his empathy. It's just the whole thing, and as a result, you can feel them feeling that he's the only part of the movie that's working in the edit, because by the end of this movie, and we know it got through extensive reshoots, he's 70% of the movie, and Wonder Woman's nowhere near him for most of the film.
Well, yeah, because the problems with that is also that the entire main line of the plot has only to do with his character.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman and Kristen Wiig are entirely superfluous characters to that story.
Tangentially related to the
there's like
plot,
maybe
yes.
at the end it's like the fact that she throws her lasso of truth is the thing that makes the turn of heart, but up until that point, that none of the actions Wonder Woman has taken affect the main line of the plot.
Well, I don't even
at all.
I don't mind that she doesn't affect the plot so much.
It's more of an indirect indicator of if you have a movie and causal actions taking you through the story, and one character, Pedro Pascal's character, is sort of the one driving all that, and your main title character is just kind of orbiting in the periphery.
It's the same thing happens in a film that probably was an influence on, clearly, at least one sequence in this film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's it's the 95th movie to do their version of the Raiders chase, where inevitably someone ends up under the truck, crawling along the bottom of the truck. They do it here. They've done it in a bunch of other movies. So Raiders has that same structure where Indiana Jones is out there in the world doing his own shit, just trying to make it to the fucking Ark of the Covenant the whole time, and then they're cutting away to the bad guys, Ark of the Covenant, Karen Allen, that fucking Belloc guy. The problem is Belloc and Karen Allen are not more compelling than Indiana Jones, and unfortunately in this film, it's actually, I don't mind the Chris Pine and her plot. It's fine, it works, it is what it is, but it's clearly less compelling than than what's happening with the bad guy, and so they spend most of the time with Pedro Pascal, who really isn't even a superhero for most of it. He's just a weird, it's like he's living his own Twilight Zone episode, his own Black Mirror episode, that his own sort of Midas touch. Oh, yeah, you haven't seen the movie yet, so
I've watched an hour 15 of it.
Okay, well, there you go. But he is trying to do that whole thing, and then they're kind of intermittently catching up with her.
The movie is, what's really interesting to me about it is, like, one, I would 100% watch whatever that sport was in the opening scene.
Which was
down.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about that. That's the most obvious thing to talk about. That is so clearly like the Titan Games, CrossFit Games.
I am so fucking sold on whatever that sport is. Hi, Bowie. Don't knock over the camera. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
All right.
Oh,
that's
he's
one.
going to go back through. He's going to go back
That's
through.
one pass.
So,
hi, Bowie. Dylan doesn't have to cut out so much later.
There's no editing happening. Oh, God.
What do we want to do?
He's good. He'll figure it out.
There we go.
Oh, gosh.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah, that was very, very intense.
What if I just
honey?
stood? Can I stand the rest of the episode?
Hi, babe.
Hi. Recording right
Yeah, we're recording.
now? Okay.
So, Dylan, if you don't, hey, man. Hey, Matt, how you doing, man? Is Eric here too? Yeah. Hey, dude.
What if I just did like this?
And just stared
Like
at the corner the
Maynard.
entire time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Dylan, if you don't edit this out, you're fired. So,
Shit.
the sport at the beginning of that movie,
Yeah.
I'm 100% sold.
Oh, yeah.
I will watch that for sure
Well,
if
here's
that
what's-
becomes a real thing.
Here's what's kind of, for me, sucked about that particular bit is I clearly it's the Titan Games, it's CrossFit Games. We saw Brooke Ents and all these other people were in the first Wonder Woman movie, so clearly there's a culture of like fitness racing women that probably populates the stunt women. They build that thing in, cool. But then they spend a majority of the camera time fixated on a literal, like, prepubescent child
Yes.
who is having to just be moved with wires the whole time from implement to implement. like there's nothing like it undermines the idea of this being exciting, the fact that there's clearly no weight or physics to the little girl, because if they just decided to age her up, make her a fit teenager or something like that, then she could have been flipping around or at least selling the idea. Instead, it's just like all these women in the background doing like these weird things, and then this little rigid like biscotti of a child just being lifted proximate on a crane to some implements, so that she kind of reaches out and touches them as she passes by.
To be fair,
there's no physicality to it.
You can see why they did that, because you could tell from the moment that she started that whole thing that it was going to be like, this is how they're going to set up the lesson that allows her to win at the end of the movie. I have to pay attention to whatever words the older shaman lady, coach lady has to say, because those are going to be the words that come back to like truly set us apart.
That's the lady from House of Cards, yeah?
House of Cards
yes.
and Princess Bride. It's the most beautiful
Bride.
woman in the world at one point.
And literally, that scene has nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
No.
It was such.
There's one lesson. There's one lesson. The armor is mentioned, and the lesson that's said is you can't something about you can't cheat to win, which is then the advice that's taken to apply to the whole monkey paw thing.
I thought it was all just targeted towards like the villains.
Yes, but here's the thing: is you can't. No, the reason it's bad isn't because it doesn't pay off. It pays off. It totally pays off. They pay it off later. It's the lesson that's imparted. The problem is the fact that the film double dips in so many things in the opening, because they have a whole new movie, whole new characters, all sorts of shit. So they do this long fitness opening, which precedes, I think, the long mall opening, which also kind of doesn't work. So you're kind of exhausted by the time you make it to the end of all that. And then the bridge between those two sequences is a long speech from Robin Wright to get her back into the movie.
She's
and
awesome.
Then a long speech from not Robin Wright, but the other identical blonde mentor lady, who then gives her a second speech. She's sitting there, Robin Wright comes up, gives her a speech, stands up, and then her speech goes on for fucking ever, leaves. Then another mentor character comes over, takes a knee, because they got to get her back in the movie. She can't show up in 1984. She delivers a whole speech. And so it kind of felt like front-loading the movie with the end of Return of the King, where it's sort of like, we really want to hit everybody and really high-five what an amazing cultural experience Wonder Woman was. We want to get everyone back on board. They're going to want to see these anonymous mentor characters that they half remember from the first movie. And it's been a couple of years. The movie was delayed by coronavirus. The sequences are kind of fall flat, and so really, if we could have just jumped in a little bit closer to Pedro Pascal, I think we could.
There is one other thing about the movie that I actually did enjoy. So, like, one, I would 100% watch that weird sport in the beginning, and two,
it was the part where Kristen Wiig lifted weights.
That was really funny. Two was actually, I liked the little scenes in the beginning where she's being a superhero.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was 1970s Superman.
The mall thing was fun.
I was like, this is Superman. This is like Superman being a big blue Boy Scout, not hurting a little child in order to get.
It very much felt like presumably the Wonder Woman TV show. It worked. The problem is, I think globally, the thing felt a little bit like it was riding a line between a kids movie and an adult movie. And what I mean by that, not an adult movie, you get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
But what I mean is, we're not sure if we should take the bad guys seriously as a threat, which is a problem sometimes that kids movies have, especially if there's bad guys like the robbers in Home Alone, or the people who kidnap Beethoven in Beethoven, or whatever the thing is. Sometimes there's bad guys.
Those guys were assholes. They wanted to test explosive bullets on dog skulls.
Exactly.
Those guys just need to go down.
Exactly. So there's a version of evil bad guy that shows up in a kids movie who's like constantly dropping shit and doesn't in any way affect a sense of an actual threat. Doesn't feel like they occupy a world where adults would be threatened by them. And while I like the sequence broadly, specifically the bumbling, goofy, silly villains,
fat guy who like drops his
exactly,
gun.
Or how they react to things, or the fact that he's holding the girl over the thing, or all of the things. It felt all of a sudden like we had jumped from the last book in Harry Potter to the first book in Harry Potter. I've never read them, but presumably they age up. It felt like we had aged down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie went on, with real villain, like Middle Eastern fucking oil barons trying to kill people and all sorts of other real villain
That's
shit
a really
happens.
good point, because that first scene,
know?
that scene in the mall is 100% aimed at that little girl's age. The little girl who's
thrown
like
into the
who's
stuffed
like,
animal.
She throws in the stuffed animal. It's for that little girl and her contemporaries. And then you're right, it goes into this really, really weirdly serious like Middle Eastern Palestine Israel thing
for a while, and people fucking die, I think. And
I
I
jumped out right around that point.
I will say
it stopped speaking to me.
And
it got too serious. I didn't understand.
You ever finish
you missed the part where he put the Mandalorian helmet back on?
Yeah, that'd be metal.
There's the biggest complaint that I had that I explained to Katie, and she was like, I can't believe you're actually complaining about this. Like, this is a superhero movie, and that's what you can't believe, is how it gets resolved at the end. Which
with everyone taking their
spoiler
wishes
alert
back?
is everybody takes their wishes back.
Oh, yeah.
She's able to convince 100% of humankind to take their wishes
that's
back.
fine. That works in a movie world. In a movie world, she's talking to all of mankind. Wonder Woman is super persuasive because of her Amazonness.
I call bullshit. I was like, I'll watch her fucking fly, which is apparently something she can do now in this movie.
Well, she could do it, I guess, in the JLA movies, and so they're kind of trying to bridge that gap.
Like doing the lasso
It's
was like
ambiguous.
a helicopter.
It's pretty ambiguous.
It's
You
like,
can't really tell whether she can
Thor
actually
fly?
or
He
not.
spins the thing, he takes
Yeah,
off,
I thought
and then
that's
so
the
they're
same way
kind of
she
trying to do.
So
the
like
same
she
thing.
flies.
She wishes for it.
and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But she convinces 100% of the population to just take their wishes back.
That's
Does it
fine
say
for
100%?
movies. Movies get to do that for big dramatic end things where where the courtroom full of Southern racists is convinced by the speech of the noble speech, and then suddenly everyone claps their hands and they're all on the same side again. That's fine for end of movie thematic.
Well, and
more
than that though, it's not just her speechifying. It's the fact that they manage, and I will give the film, because the film has flaws. I just don't particularly think this is one of them, because it's like at least they took the time to make it her actual superpower, that she could take her lasso, put it on Chris Pine's wrist when they're in the closet earlier, and show and reveal great truth to him. So instead, what they do is they put Pedro Pascal on TV, she wraps the shit around his ankle, and she speaks truth through this thing, and it somehow connects with people in some magical way. It's thin, but at least they tried. The problem with this movie isn't like logical inconsistencies. The cool thing is like most movies it's buttoned up to the extent that it's logical. It doesn't matter. I don't like plot holes. Don't really care about. It's just, are you creating anything that's compelling? And the problem is, her story works just fine. It makes sense, and Pedro Pascal's story makes sense. We just have to, when looking back at the movie, wonder, why is he 60% of the movie, and why are we okay with that? That's a problem.
It's because it's bad.
If Raiders of the Lost Ark spent 70% of its time with Belloc and then intermittently checked in with Harrison Ford with Indy, we would be like, get back to that guy. With this movie, we're like, I kind of like hanging out with this guy more so than she's on her invisible plane. It's on its way. We'll figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm not like a professional editor, but watching the movie, I was like, why is this scene still here? That's what I felt the whole time. I was like, who is this for?
And that's what I felt watching Blade Runner 2049.
Well,
folks, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see even more clippy goodness, hit one of the links on the screen right now. And if you want to see the video that clip just originated from, link is in the description below. Hope you guys check some more stuff out while you're here. Enjoy. I will see you very, very soon. Take care.